Although it was Peter Hayes who had all the honours yesterday, Lee Freedman might have a big one today. Canberra race 1, 10 for Malamar, 5.20 Cocky Raider, 6.90 Doc Marbles, 4.90 Sovereign Bill. Sounds a bit like Sovereign Hill, who won the big trot race last night. 6.80 He's the Limit and Hand Maiden at $9.10. That's for the first event at Canberra. Coming up soon, where they're moving into line, Toss the Habits at $9.60. Now, Caloundra, our coverage there starts soon with race 1, $4 Cordoba, $9.90 Nicky, the Irish Tycoon $2.50, 15 Arbitrate, $5.70 Arrive, $6.40 Helly and Lassie, and King Fox is at $21. And the tips are 135 from Alan Thomas for race 1 at Caloundra, Cordoba to get the money. Now we'll take a short break, back with Canberra after this.
An open betting race. Stand by for a start. And away they go now. Sovereign Bill went back to the tail of the field when they hit the ground. Malabar and Cocky Raider got away well. Doc Marbles moves up on the outside, about 2 behind those, then Toss the Habit followed. Further back to He's the Limit, a break in the field. Hand Maiden, Nassabose on its outside. Further back behind those, Sovereign Bill followed by Snow Gum, Light Up the Bay, and Fibber Thomas last of all on, settling down, racing down the back, past the 1200 metre mark, and the leader Doc Marbles about 2 in front of Cocky Raider. Pulling hard in third, Malamar, followed by He's the Limit on the outside. A further break behind those, Toss the Habit, followed then by Sovereign Bill gaining ground. A length or so behind those racing towards the next turn there was Nassabo. A further break in the field, then Hand Maiden, followed by Light Up the Bay, then Snow Gum, and Fibber Thomas last of all. As they leave the back and race down the side, Doc Marbles the leader, about a long neck in front. Cocky Raider second on the outside. Here's the Limit, gains ground around the outside. Malamar's fourth on the rails. A long break, Toss the Habit, followed by Sovereign Bill. A further break, Nassabo, followed then by Hand Maiden. Light Up the Bay is still well back, followed by Fibber Tom, and Snow Gum last of all as they race up towards the turn. 500 to go. Cocky Raider moved up on the outside now to share the lead with Doc Marbles, going very wide. Cocky Raider on the turn. He's the Limit down towards the insiders, running on, followed further back to Malamar, and the next one behind those, Toss the Habit, followed further back to Light Up the Bay in the straight with about 300 metres to go. Doc Marbles the leader. He's the Limit on the outsiders, running on fairly well. They're well clear, followed by Toss the Habit, and the next one was Hand Maiden, but He's the Limit is driven to the lead inside the final 150. He's the Limit as the leader, battling on Doc Marbles. Now getting home late was Toss the Habit, followed by Hand Maiden. Toss the Habit in the centre, hit the lead, and Toss the Habit. Toss the Habit on the line has got up to beat Hand Maiden. He's the Limit, couldn't go on. A break behind those in the field, then Doc Marbles, followed by Light Up the Bay. A further break in the field, then came Fibber Tom, then Snow Gum, followed by Nassabo, Cocky Raider, and Malamar second last, and Sovereign Bill along last.
Toss the Habit, number 11, $11.20 and $2.87. Hand Maiden, $3.20 and 6. He's the Limits, $2.30 for a place. So 11, 7 and 6 past the post, race number 1 at Canberra. Now, Caloundra, race 1, they're about to move in. Cordoba's at 4.10, 10 for Nicky, 11.20, 2.80, 3.20 Hand Maiden, 2.30 He's the Limit. The Cornella was 75.70. The trifecta, $830.60 for the first at Canberra, 11, 7 and 6. So it's been a very...
Australia. Racing always needs friends in high places, and in Canberra they have a great friend in the Chief Minister, Kate Carnell, and she's with me now because today is the birth of the Chief Minister's plate. Kate.
Hi, and it's a great day. Wonderful weather, and of course it's been a great week for racing here in Canberra with the announcement that BRL Hardy is going to set up a winery right here at the racecourse in Canberra and actually grow vines right down the middle of the course. That'll make us a little bit unique, I have to say.
I think very unique. I would have thought Canberra was a little bit cold.
Look, not at all. Canberra wines are winning prizes all around the world. It's, I suppose, the resurgence of cool climate wines, sort of full of fruit wines, and BRL Hardy's want to be part of that resurgence.
Now, you're holding this magnificent plate. I hope we can see that. And, of course, that goes to the winning owner this afternoon.
That's right. It goes to the winning owner. It's also a good prize money race as well. Racing.
It's a $10,000 race, isn't it?
It's a $10,000 race. This plate, 22 carat gold inlaid on glass. A local craftsperson, Peter Crisp, put it together. It's a great prize. I hope it goes from strength to strength though, because really racing, apart from being great fun, it does employ a lot of people, not just here in Canberra, but right around Australia.
It's wonderful to see you, Kate, as the Chief Minister here, have a genuine keen and deep interest in racing. In fact, I think you have a horse or two.
I have had one or two horses in my time. I've got a 2-year-old that's ready to race fairly soon. It's barrier trialled once. So look, racing again is great fun, but it's also good business. It's also a great employer around Australia, and we should never, as governments, forget that, you know, it's really a very important part of our economy.
It's the third largest business. Thanks, Kate Carnell, and good luck. We'll watch that race with great interest later on. Thanks. Back to the studio.
Looked like a pretty nice plate, that one, Richard. And
It
there's a
is
spare one
indeed.
laying around. It would make a nice Christmas present for my mum.
Absolutely.
There's a spare one.
It's 22 carat gold, as I think you heard Kate say, and made by a local too, Peter Crisp. And if we've got time, we'll catch up with him later too, because it's quite a job to fire a glass like that. And he said it actually came out in the first try, which is very unusual.
Must be a real craftsman. Okay, thanks for that. Now, Warwick Farm Race 2 is not too far away. They are behind the barrier and about to move in. A small field again, 6 runners on this occasion, 5 cents. 2-year-olds in the second event, and Michael Heath's tips were 8, 11 and 3. And Glittering Girl there at $3.50 as well and truly in the market. She's been well supported on the Super Tab. They're behind the gates. Caloundra Race 2 in 5 minutes. Indigo Storm 8.10, $6 Jamaica, $9.90 Mana, Mr Ruxton 11, $6.20 Osifa, River Plenty 18, $3.50 Topham, and had a hunch at $4.70. 2-year-olds in that one at Caloundra 2, 7.52 are Alan Thomas's selections. Jockey change at Moonee Valley. Race 6, number 16 is Craig Din on Gold Time. Race 6, number 16. Now we'll take a short break. We're back with the second event at Canberra in just a moment.
The winner of the previous race has won a bonus for all connections. Super Vobis events pay big cash bonuses for qualified winners. Super Vobis, Alitalia, Abercrombie and Kent. Simply the best way to travel.
They are starting to move in at Canberra, or maybe not quite just yet. There might be 1 or 2 already in the gates. It's a little bit difficult to see from that angle, but I can certainly see from that angle that there's plenty out behind the line. The second race, many of them first starters, although there are a couple of horses who have already had one go without any success though. $5.50 for Natch here, and then through to Antaria, who's $2.90. But the money has certainly been for Matthew Carl's mount. Matthew Carl on Glittering Girl, which is number 11, continues to firm into $3.40 for the second race at Canberra. Jockey change at Pakenham. Race 3, number 6, Split the Cash is Stephen Knoll. Race 3, number 6, Stephen Knoll. Now at Caloundra, they're heading off to the gates for race number 2 on the program. Officially, it's 3 minutes away, and plenty of first starters here, including Inigo Storm at $8.90, Jamaica $6.50, 12 Mana, 13 Mr Ruxton, Osifa's $5.50, River Plenty 14, Topium's at $2.90, and Had a Hunch at $5.70. That's the rundown for race 2 as they arrive around behind the barriers. Topium, Osifa and Jamaica, Alan Thomas's top 3 chances, 7, 5 and 2. Now some totes at Clare, Ruberton Road $4.190, 2.30 Key to Pompey, 1.70 Davana, 23.40 Quinella, trifecta $157.80. That's on race 2 at Clare. Now they move up at Canberra for the 2-year-old Class D, and we take you now to Tony Campbell.
Using to move into line. Still about 5 or 6 to move along. Natch is out, Pitter Potter. Website is still well back, Lazarevic and Antaria, one of the favourites, still out of line. Antaria and Glittering Girl well supported in this race. Antaria trained by Mick Petrovic, is a younger sister to Rum Rustic, and Glittering Girl is trained by John Morrissey. Antaria goes up, Monet's Talent in line. 1,000 metres, the Murphy Station Class D. Very warm day here today in Canberra, very warm indeed. Up around about the 30-degree mark. 2 to move in. Waiting on Natch and Lazarevic. 2 to move in. Monet's Talent stands up, Horse of War. But it's Natch and Lazarevic, the 2 out of line. Peter Potter's in with Jetbat. Oh no, there's another one over there too, a riderless one giving trouble. Number 4 it is, Pitter Potter. So Pitter Potter's giving trouble. Natch out of line. And Lazarevic well back behind the barrier stalls. Now, Pitter Potter's being trotted around behind the barrier stalls. Could well be going through a vet's examination, Pitter Potter. All the other runners, Monet's Talent stands up, Horse of War, Glittering Girl and Jet Bat. And well back behind the line is Lazarevic. And Natch is riderless too. Natch riderless, so we've got about 2 of these giving plenty of trouble over there. Stand by. Hello. Yes, hello. Pitter Potter taken out at 2:02. Okay, thank you. Pitter Potter taken out at 2:02, please note. Number 4, Pitter Potter taken out at 2:02, please note. By the stewards acting on veterinary advice. Pitter Potter is scratching, taken out at 2:02. Still waiting on Natch and Lazarevic to move along. Monet's Talent and Taria stands up in the line. But it's Natch giving trouble. And the late scratching Pitter Potter lashed out in the stalls has been taken out by the stewards acting on veterinary advice. So bad luck for the connections of Pitter Potter. Now they're getting set at Caloundra, not too far away at Caloundra. And Natch, it looks like, giving trouble over there. And the late scratching, of course, Pitter Potter. So Natch, very troublesome, and Lazarevic are the 2 out of line.
Okay, well, we might use that time to clear a few other commitments because time is so crucial for us today with so many meetings on, and they are moving in at Caloundra for the second race. Their 2-year-olds are pretty well behaved up there. They're all moving in like lambs. I hope I haven't mocked one. $5 Inigo Storm, $7.80 Jamaica, $5.20 Asifa, $2.60 Topium, and Had a Hunch at $8.10. It's the last couple go forward there at Caloundra for race 2. So I hope we can avoid a clash situation. With Canberra only a couple out there and the last few about to go in at Caloundra. Warwick Farms in 8 minutes. Crafty 3:30 Instant Printer. 4:40, 4:20 Take a Flight. 8:90 Alaskan Lad. 7:80 Northern Drake. 10 for What Dreams and Gdansk at $22 for the third. And Jahaldi is 50 to 1. Instant Printer is John Tapp's selection to beat Crafty and Take a Flight 2, 1 and 4 for the next event for the 3-year-old colts and geldings. Now the starter's about to pick up the button at Canberra. They're ready. Let's go to Tony.
Race 2. Jet Bat stands up, Glittering Girl. Monet's Talent. They face up. Over there at the 1,000 metres. Starter holding them. Lazarevic. And away they go now. Natch was last out of the gates. Jet Bat didn't jump all that well. Lazarevic and the stablemate Antaria got away well. Horse of War driving between those. In behind those, Monet's Talent, followed by Glittering Girl, and Jet Bat's on the outside. A long break behind those, Watham, followed then by Natch down towards the inside. And Website is relegated to the tail of the field. On settling down as they race up towards the 600, Antaria leads. About a long head in front of Horse of War, followed by Lazarevic out 3 wide. In behind those, Glittering Girl looking for a way out, followed by Jet Bat, then Monet's Talent. A long break behind those on the turn was Natch, followed by Watham. And forget about Website, but around the turn, Horse of War on the outside raced up to share the lead with Antaria. In behind those, Glittering Girl, followed further back than Lazarevic, and the next one was Natch. And Jet Bat down towards the inside as they race down to the 200. Antaria kicking back in front. Horse of War on the outside. Jet Bat is getting home late on the inside, and Glittering Girl out towards the centre. Antaria is the leader. Horse of War on the outside tries hard. All over the place, this leader Antaria. Antaria first across the line. We may hear more. Close for second, we had Horse of War.
Hey, it's the winner. They're off at Caloundra. Here's Al.
One of the first to go was 2 p.m. from the inside. It bounded straight to the...
Still on, is it?
Still on, yes indeed, and the race has been put back about 12 minutes. And they're still in there locked-in combat. Race 3, of course, race 2, second against first. Michael, you're rudely interrupted.
No, well, got to go to Moonee Valley, very important. Look, a very hard race, as I pointed out, but Sir Libra is awkwardly drawn, but it has Matthew Carl on board. He'll go forward, I think, from the wide gate. Very well bred horse, this horse. A little bit easy in the betting ring, nevertheless. Looking for dangers. Number 8, Mr. McCord. No luck at Bathurst last start. Severely checked on that occasion. Figured prominently in the steward's report. Prior to that run, a very good second at Canberra behind What Dreams. That form's very good here. Jamie Whitney on board. Well drawn in barrier 3. Should get box seated. And number 1, Wenders. This horse ran second in the 1997 Black Opal behind Fraud. A lot of quality in the race. A lot of quality in the horse. Looks very well, Wenders.
Bit different conditions today than the Black Opal. I remember a bog track.
Yeah, it was a very wet track and certainly fast track here, good track here today. But young Nelson Kong having his 3rd race ride, obviously that's one of the obstacles. But Wenders are obviously a very promising horse. Look, there's been good money on course for number 18, Pensiamo. Well, big double figure odds, been well supported into about 7 or 8 to 1 now, and it's been very well tried, Pensiamo on course. It's had a few excuses of recent runs, and it could improve from barrier 1. But summing it up though, Richard, I've got number 2, Sir Libra on top, hardest to beat, 8 Mr. McCord and 1 Wenders.
Thanks, Michael. He's going for a horse bred by Sir Tristram, and that's pretty good breeding here for Canberra. Thank you.
Okay, Richard, thanks for that. So 2-8-1 for Michael Heath in the next Tech Racing Club. Here's Richard Zachariah.
Indeed, thanks Matthew. And the ACT Racing Club, of course, is very excited about the announcement today of planting of wine in the middle or vines in the middle of the racecourse, plus a major development, which is a restaurant and a wine tasting area on the outskirts or right next, adjacent to the course. And one of the men behind this is BRL's Jim Humphreys. Jim, you must be very excited about this announcement.
Yeah, Richard, we are. It's a great opportunity for our company, and of course it's wonderful for Canberra, because we've been sourcing fruit here now for a number of years, and the opportunity came along through the Canberra government to become involved in a winery tourism complex. And at the same time we start looking at sites. The Canberra racecourse looked like a great place to be, and so in conjunction with that we're going to actually plant a 3-hectare vineyard in the centre of the racecourse, and it's probably one of the first developments that we'll have of anything like this, well, anything that we know around the world. So it's a unique thing for Canberra, and of course it's a wonderful thing for our company. Pretty exciting.
It is very exciting. I would have thought Canberra, I said it before, that it gets a bit cold down here. The old frosts, I thought, might knock the fruit around.
Yeah, well, that is some concern. I mean, it is a fairly flat, low area, but we can offset that by using frost sprinklers. So it's really at that critical time when we've got bud burst in the vineyard that we're really concerned about that, and we can overcome that. That's not a problem. But it's really just going to be a little model vineyard that when all the people on TAB are looking at the telecast, they'll see a lovely vineyard sitting in the middle of the racecourse.
I think it's a lovely and natural mix, actually, thoroughbred horses and wine.
Oh, well, that's probably true, actually, yeah, and sparkling wine and really high-quality premium wine. As well as that, of course, there is going to be a winery. There's a 4,000-tonne winery, and to put that into perspective, 4,000 tonne equates to about 300,000 cases of wine. So it's a really significant development, and it should be great for the region.
We're not talking boutique here. We're talking a major commitment to this area.
Absolutely. I mean, 4,000 tonnes or 300,000 cases of wine is a significant portion of wine. So it will really go a long way to establishing a label for Canberra internationally and nationally. So it's a really great...
So as a company, you'd expect to have people over there tasting wine and then come on to the races?
Oh, well, that's a nice thought. Yeah, I suppose that's certainly a concept. I mean, we're going to have an area where people can dine and taste wines and things. So certainly that's quite possible, yes. Yeah, good idea.
Well, as I said, it's a lovely mix. And, of course, they've been trying to develop this in the Hunter probably for years, but they've never really been able to pull it off. Now, with the vines actually in the middle of the racecourse and you on the side of it, people can't miss it.
No, well, that's true, and it's on Northbourne Avenue, which is the main thoroughfare in from Sydney, so it's got really good exposure. And, you know, the Canberra Racing Club has some pretty good meetings throughout the year, and I'm sure they'll be coming to us saying that we'd like a sponsor for a few of the meetings, so I think we've probably put more than the toe in the water on this one.
I think you're dead certainly be approached by the club. What other investment have you got in racing? You've got a few other races, I think.
Oh, well, we do a lot of regional racing, but it's one of those things. I think wine companies tend to be involved in horses, or I suppose yachting has been one thing that we've been involved in for a while. And, you know, I suppose they tend to get...
That had nothing to do with Sir James Hardy, of course.
No, not at all, no. But certainly races, or the racing industry is a good industry to be involved in, because it really has... You look at some of the Spring Racing Carnival, etc. in Melbourne, and the following that gets, and it's a really good consumer group. So, yeah, I think the wine industry's realised that there's a real opportunity with the racing community.
So this deal was done with the Canberra government. We should delineate, I suppose, from the Canberra government as opposed to the federal government.
Yes. Yeah, well, the the catalyst to the whole thing was a guy called Jim Murphy from Camtrade, and he approached us because we've been sourcing fruit here now for a couple of years and really impressed with the quality of it. And so then he approached us and we said, well, look, we're interested. And then the Canberra government through Kate Carnell, the Chief Minister, approached us as well. And we started to talk about things and we saw the opportunities that were here. So we really jumped at the idea. And our company is going to spend in the next couple of years somewhere in the region of $20 million here. And then that will obviously grow from there, and there's opportunities with jobs, and I think the brand exposure that Canberra's going to get is going to be a significant thing for Canberra. So yeah, it's a really exciting development that we're looking at.
I look forward to having a lovely cold growth or cold climate wine from the centre of the Canberra racecourse and backing a winner. Okay. Thanks, Jim.
Okay, Richard.
Jim Humphreys from BRL. Thanks, and back to you, Matthew.
Okay, Richard, thanks for that. They are starting to move in at Warwick Farm for the 4th race on the program. And while the judge has a look at them, we'll concentrate on Canberra, race 3, where they're moving in very well. $3.80 for Sir Libra, and, well, one's riderless. It looks to be one down in the weights by the look of that saddlecloth. This is number 15, Miscompliance, playing up a little bit, putting us further behind with Canberra race 3. They're already on an amended start time due to that very lengthy protest hearing on the previous that turned out to be dismissed. So that one causing a few problems, Miscompliance. That tight photo finish there at Warwick Farm, it's a real head bobber. Bridal chance there in the orange colours, or Windows number 2. And we stand by for the judge to hand out first placing on race 4 at Warwick Farm with number 7 just behind them. Cameron Swan on Bridal Chance for Maxie Lees, and Windows ridden by Glenn Boss for Jimmy Lee at Randwick.
We're used to in wintertime, Richard. I can assure you the jockeys go right out to the rail where the sun is to get some heat on their back, but quite the opposite today.
What do you like in this?
Race 4, 1600 metre Class 2 event, and yeah, as Matthew said, 20 past 3 for race 4. Pretty hard race on paper. That's how the bookmakers have opened up. There's not a lot of idea at this point in time. The favourite on course is number 1, Dancer's Pride. I've settled on the Lee Curtis trained Dancer's Pride. Nice 3-year-old. He's been racing very consistently. The form around Gold Ken, Bow Opera and You Called Sir is very handy. Certainly handy for this type of race. There's not a lot of depth in this field here today. And did think Dancer's Pride would get a lovely run for Matty Bravado and prove very hard to hold out. Looking for dangers, 5 Fenian, won his last 2. Won 2 of his last 3, I should say. Last start, a very good winner at Goulburn. And with the barrier 1, Rolly Saxton, now he's one of our leading riders down here. He's riding very, very well. Should give Fenian the run of the race, and it's the one that we know can run out the strong 1600 metres. There's been a bit of money on course for number 7. Coastal Express opened up a point under double-figure odds with the bookmakers. It's been very well tried to half that quiet on course with the bookies. And Coastal Express has been racing consistently. Went around in the Grenfell Guineas 2 starts ago. The format of that race has held up very, very well. And obviously the punters think that as well. It's been very well tried. Best of the rest, perhaps number 2, Brokenhurst. It's opened up short with the bookmakers around about half each way odds. But Brokenhurst has stepping up to the mile trip, and that's the query with it. But summing it up, Richard, 1 Dancer's Pride on top, hardest to beat, 5 Fenian and 7 Coastal Express.
Just looking at Dancer's Pride, Matt Pravato riding him. He's been riding down here, of course, a very promising Sydney apprentice, and then we missed him for a while.
Not too sure. He actually has ridden down here on and off over the last 12 months. Doesn't get down here a hell of a lot during winter time. He didn't come down. Maybe that was the weather, Richard. But no, he's a good rider, Matt Pravato. We just saw in one of the earlier races.
Were you surprised by that protest not being upheld?
No, actually, the 2 lengths winning margin was sufficient for, I think, the stewards to make it a dismissed decision. Certainly the second horse was severely interfered with, but the margin does come into play.
My feeling was it was always going to win.
Yeah, she's a nice horse too, Antari, and I think you'll see a bit more of Antari in future weeks.
She's a full sister to Rum Rustic. It's a fair horse.
Yeah, fair horse. It might be, Rum Rustic took out one of those 2-year-old races up in Queensland. The big prize money races are restricted to the sales and what have you. I think this might be the same pattern for Antaria, and Mike Petrovic, of course, has a lot of luck with with that sort of thing. He's a very smart trainer, and of course he puts the polish on Kingston Shores, who ran second here in the Canberra Cup, had a couple of good winners in Sydney prior to that Kingston Shores, and Mike told me that Kingston Shores is spelling at the moment and is looking towards the autumn in Sydney. He's got big plans for it.
Okay, thanks, Michael. We're about 5 or 6 minutes away from a start, although I must say there's no horses in the ring yet, so we might be delayed a little bit further, although they're just coming in now. Back to you, Matt, from here in Canberra.
All right, Richard, thanks for approaching start time. In fact, we're on start time, so they'll be a little bit late with the fourth event. They have had a few problems there at Canberra this afternoon, including a very lengthy protest that went on for quite some time, and the result surprised a few. Beautiful, fine day at Canberra this afternoon. The sun is shining. Now, Warwick Farm race...
Thanks, Matthew. Yes, the Yass Racing Club has been racing with their cup meeting at Canberra for the last 2 years. I think this is the second year. We're talking now to the chairman of that race club committee, yes, Warren Hall. Welcome.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
This is the second year?
It is the second year. First year last year, very successful. We're looking forward to another successful year this year.
Now, in an interview I did the other day with Ken Callaghan, who trained at Yass, he was a bit critical of the Yass track. That's why you've come here?
The Yass track's not a really racing, just a picnic racetrack, Richard, and I think some of the trainers think it's a little hard, and he's probably very, very pleased to be down in Goulburn on a very good track these days.
Well, you'll be racing on a nice track here, of course. What have you got in store for us?
Well, we're trying, the theme of the whole exercise is to bring the country to the capital, Richard, and that's what we intend doing on the day, and we're hoping to get a lot of our Canberra people over to see what we do in the country. We've got tug of wars, we've got sheep shearing demonstrations and various other things we do in the country, and we're hoping for a very good day, and there's plenty of good racing as well.
I really couldn't support that more. I think it's more and more the country is being divorced from city people, and we don't see things like shearing of sheep, and I think if you can get a crowd to see that, well, they'll go home not only seeing some good races, but seeing something that's traditionally Australian.
Yeah, we're hoping to do this, and you know, us country people see plenty of it, Richard, but sometimes city people don't get the opportunity of seeing such things as shearing, and we're just hoping to get a lot of city people along to enjoy our day with us.
How long have you been running the Yass Cup?
The Yass Cup, I'm not a very good historian, but it goes back a long time, but it hasn't been run for many years up until last year again, which was the inaugural one at this racetrack, and we're very, very grateful to the Canberra Race Club to have us on board to run this race, and this is the second year, and we're hoping to continue from here on.
Well, I would have thought, so you discontinued the Yass Cup for a number of years, did you, because the track, you just didn't race there?
Yes, quite a number of years. I'm not too sure exactly. Some of the other people might be able to tell us, but I can't remember seeing the Yass Cup, but I think it finished back in the 40s, as a matter of fact, but it's a long time. But the Cup is still in existence, and it will be on display. A very, very nice gold Cup. It will be on display on Sunday the 7th over at this racetrack.
Thanks, Warren, and I'm sure the 40s was well before my birth date. And certainly before yours, Matthew.
Yeah, I'll go along with that. Thanks for that, Richard. Now, that next race at Canberra shouldn't be too far away. In fact, they are moving in quite well for that. And at Warwick Farm in Sydney, they're also about to commence the moving in process. So I hope we can, again, avoid a clash, but just be aware they are behind the gates. At Warwick Farm, here's Tony at Canberra.
Now they're set. Starter holding them. No starters yet. Tabaro, Bavian stands up. This is the 1600 metre start. I think there's an attendant in lending a hand to one of the riders there. And away they go now. Tabaro is slowly away. Danzer's Pride landed out in front. Russian Dancers moving up on the outside. Coastal Express is wide, followed then by Brockenhurst. Fenian easing back on the inside, followed by Bavian. And tailing out to last was Tabaro. On settling down as they race down the back. They've got about 1300 to go. Russian Dancers the leader. About a half a length in front of Danzer's Pride. Moving up on the outside, Coastal Express. Not too far away, Bavian. These leaders are tightly bunched as they race down the back. A length and a half behind those, Brockenhurst, followed by Fenian on the rails. And about 2 or 3 then Tabaro's at the tail of the field as they race inside the 1,000 metre mark, and now the leader was Bavian. Bavian shot around the outside to hit the lead at the 900 metre turn. In second place, Russian Dance, followed by Coastal Express. Danzer's Pride is fourth. A length behind those, Brockenhurst, followed by Fenian down towards the inside, and a length